I don't normally get uncomfortable watching a show, but I got quite uncomfortable watching this episode of Happy Sugar Life. I mean, granted, I can deal with quite a bit. Like, I can deal with some creepy stuff, dark stuff. I mean, I'm a man that has read Berserk. I love Berserk, one of my favorites. I love the dark and grotesque. But there was just the way this episode was done. Like, I think if I would have read this in manga form, I don't think I would have been as uncomfortable or creeped out. But thanks to it being anime, and the way the animators have given life to some scenes, and they've gone as far as to really know how to build up the tension, that's one thing that this series does a really good job with, and I've talked about it a lot while reviewing Happy Sugar Life. This was, by far, the creepiest episode of the series, and definitely one of the first or very few times I truly have been unsettled, like, uncomfortable. Like, I think the last anime that did that to me, truly made me feel very, like, uncomfortable, was watching Higurashi. Higurashi was a show I watched a while back, years ago. One of my personal favorite series of all time. I love Higurashi, loved the first and second season. Great stuff. Really great series if you have not watched it. But anyways, that was the last time. This episode reminded me of that. When you can remind me of Higurashi, then I think you're doing something right. At the very least in the department of being very creepy and just jarring. Like, you're like, whoa. Like, just whoa. So, let's get into it. The ant. She is alive, which, that's surprising. I'm really, really surprised about the ant being alive. It definitely is like a big wrench thrown into what I thought was happening in this series and what, or whoever was in that trash bag. Like, okay, let's back up real quick and talk about the beginning of the episode. When the episode opens up, you have the sensei talking about his analysis on most likely what Sato did. For instance, who she has or what she's doing, keeping her secrets, and then who was potentially in the trash bag. She was saying it's most likely her aunt. And the reason why he said that was because obviously nobody has seen her aunt in a very long time, and on top of that, he's given calls, spent many months trying to figure out if he can get in contact with her. He didn't. So because of that, he's concluded the trash bag had the aunt's body in it. But now in this episode, we come to find out that was not the case. Now let's talk about his analysis of what he said. He's like, most likely the reason why, the ant was in the trash bags was because the ant didn't agree with Sato's life decisions, or agree with what Sato was doing with her love, or whatever, her opinion on love, and which got in a fight and then ended the ant. That's what he assumed. And honestly, that is a very good analysis. I think everybody at this point in the series were pretty much thinking around the exact same thing. And I really enjoy that fact that the writer was very aware of what the audience would be thinking at this moment. Even though the sensei is obviously not the most level-headed individual in terms of being sane, at the very least, he is not dumb. He still is able to comprehend things and figure out what he needs to do or how to manipulate Sato. It's a very interesting character type, I have to admit. And I like how he was able to piece things together and realize what Sato might be doing, and that's what all of us came to the exact same conclusion. And when it's revealed that the ant is alive, you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. So, what's going on here? Why? Like, okay, here's the number one thing we gotta look at. See, if Sato's aunt is fine with any forms of love. Like, she legit was fine with any forms of love. That was very clear in this episode. Very, very clear. I'm going to assume she would be fine with Shio and Sato's love. I'm assuming she would be, unless there's something else to the aunt's personality that we don't understand. I'm going to assume the only reason why Sato doesn't want Shio around the aunt, even if the aunt would accept Shio and Sato's relationship, would be because the aunt would probably make a move. Probably. I mean, let's look at how she was acting in this episode. I mean, the cop, and then even, Shoko as well. Shoko is a really good example of just like how unhinged the aunt is, and maybe that's the reason why Sato keeps Shio away, is because she might have tried to make a move on her. I'm just saying, I mean, what she did was obviously not normal. She loves any type of love. Like, anything. Any desires or anything that's done to her, she loves it. And so, it's pretty interesting. So, I think more along the lines is that Sato is protecting Shio. Even though she knew that the aunt would be fine with it, she's protecting Shio. And that's just very interesting. Also, I do like to point out that even though Sato is obviously not the sanest person, and her moral compass is just like all messed up, all forms are broken and shattered, she is definitely more sane than her aunt. And the reason why I say that is because if we look at the way the aunt lives, it's entirely different from what Sato lives, or how Sato lives. I mean, look, okay, the aunt obviously doesn't really leave her place often. She looked pale as a sheet, and then on top of that, she has bandages all over her body, and judging from her conversation with the police officers, how she interacted with Shoko, Sato, it's clear that she probably doesn't have, quote-unquote, normal job. And because of that, she is definitely not, by any means, normal. She holds herself up in her place, probably doing services and all that, trying to get money on the side, and it seems like she really loves to potentially stay in that trashy room. At first, when I first saw that room, I thought maybe Sato was having to stay in it, but that's obviously not the case. That was actually her room, from what I'm assuming, because of her type of personality, which is just very messed up. I'm not going to go too far into that. So basically, when you look at the aunt's personality, she's definitely more unhinged than Sato ever has been. And also, I mean, Sato is on certain levels more extreme than her aunt, because we don't know if the aunt has actually killed anyone. But Sato has, obviously, from what we know. Unless the entire trash bag is a complete lie, and we really didn't know. I mean, we know she's, stabbed eyeballs, but we don't know if she actually truly has committed anything wrong as far as, taking someone's life. So, we don't really know that if that's true. I mean, look, we got faked out with the aunt. So, for all we know, the trash bags could have been legit trash, for all we know. I don't know. But the point is that at this time, the aunt is definitely crazy. And crazier than Sato. However, there is very obvious signs that Sato has been damaged, which has been there since the beginning, but she also has traits from her aunt. Like, example, how she tries to manipulate people, like how she was manipulating the situation with the police and all that. It's very similar to how Sato is. You can see Sato got her manipulative nature from her aunt. The way she kind of, is able to overcome anything or figure things out, she probably got that from her aunt. And the more and more I look at the aunt and Sato, they are very similar. They are obviously cut from the same piece of cloth. They are very similar. There is some differences, but they are similar. And I feel like one of the big dilemmas that Sato is trying to overcome is she doesn't want to wind up and be like her aunt, which makes a lot of sense. I wouldn't want to be someone like that either. So at the very least, it seems like Sato, she understands what her aunt does at the very least is wrong, or she just doesn't agree with that form of love. So, yeah, that is definitely something that's interesting. I feel will play a bigger part maybe in Sato's character development as the series continues to progress. Now, let's talk about Shoko for a second. So, Shoko, Sato's best friend, or was once her best friend, had a huge wake-up call. She got to see Sato's old living situation firsthand, and my god, like, if that was me walking in on a scene like that, I might have been like Shoko. I'd probably have been just, like, stunned and wouldn't even really know what to say to my friend. I would be like, your mother's weird, or your aunt's weird. That's what I would say. I probably would have said the exact same thing, not gonna lie. And I mean, I guess it was, it'd be wrong to say, but it's the truth. It really is. When you see a scene like that from us as the audience, that's what you would think. And so, in this case, Shoko was us, the audience, walking in on that and getting to see everything. That was us. And her reaction to Sato was pretty freaking normal, I think. But at the same time, I think there was two things here that were very clear. Sato was using her aunt to get Shoko away, to just completely get rid of Shoko from her. And it's even admitted at the end of the episode that she doesn't truly even understand what a friend is. So, she doesn't obviously care that much about Shoko. She might be happy around her, but she doesn't care that much. So, she never really once considered Shoko a friend, from what I can assume. And especially when that scene happened, when she just didn't know what to say, that completely ended all ties that, Sato and Shoko had as friends. And now, our poor girl just is mentally crushed. I mean, I guess this is a good thing for her. I mean, honestly, she would have continued down the path, she was going to be in the crosshairs of Sato, because she was probably going to die. And she would have continued to, go along with everything. Because, I mean, even if she could agree with the aunt, what the aunt is doing, then at the very least, when she finally sees the situation that Sato is doing, then that is when she'll realize, like, you're kind of messed up too. You're keeping a little girl to yourself. All that. That's wrong. Very wrong. That's what Shoko most likely would say. Because if she's affected by what the aunt is doing, then she's definitely going to be affected by what Sato is doing. So yeah, if she would have somehow looked past that, regardless, her personality, she would have not have agreed with what Sato is doing, which in turn would have, over. So yeah, that's pretty much the point of the Shoko scene, and she saved herself. I don't think this is probably her last time being a part of this series or being relevant, because, I mean, number one, she is the only one that has actually really encountered Sato's aunt. She kind of knows her living situation, and because of that, I feel like she's going to get guilty, feel upset, and might try to, repair things between her and Sato, which once again could lead into the situation with Chio and ending her life, so a lot of things that could happen. But overall, I think that this episode did a fantastic job with what it had, building up the tension to that very ending scene, to when the aunt was revealed, to everything that happened with the police officer, which, whoa, that's, yeah, okay, Anyways, that's pretty much my thoughts on the episode. Great episode. Definitely a step in the right direction for the story. I'm surprised the plot progressed that much, actually, because, I mean, I didn't think we were going to get, like, a revelation that soon on what was in the bags to the ants anytime soon, but we got it this episode, so pretty decent pace. The story definitely progressed quite a bit, and I'm pretty happy about that. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below, how you felt about this episode. Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload, please click the bell icon down below. And with that, Chibi out.